Hey, how's it going, everybody? Welcome back to Art of Creation and Homestead. My name is Jason. We're out here this afternoon, and a nice sunny Southwest Ohio weather. We're going to talk about Jesus today. It's Sunday. It's Father's Day. Happy Father's Day to anyone out there, including my own father. We're just talking about Jesus today, our Heavenly Father, who is amazing. And we've been talking about wisdom, and we're going to finish that talk today. We're going to go to Ephesians chapter 5, by the way. Okay, we've been in Proverbs, obviously talking about wisdom. But Ephesians chapter 5, verse 15 through 17, it says, "Be very careful then how you live, not as unwise, but as wise, making the most of every opportunity, because the days are evil. Therefore do not be foolish, but understand what the Lord's will is." So what we're talking about here is being wise every day. We talked about that in the previous couple of weeks, where we said be slow to anger and slow to speak, right? Quick to listen, quick to understand, all these things. And we talked about trying to get rid of these knee-jerk reactions in situations where we just fail to show wisdom because we react too quickly. Well, that's what he's talking about here. Actually, it says, therefore be very careful. So be very careful how you live. Very careful. Not as wise, but as unwise. So what we're talking about here is then, if you're going to be very careful, understanding that these days are evil. Right, so be very careful then. So if you're very careful, then you're not going to have these knee-jerk reactions. You are going to be slow to anger and slow to speak. You're going to be slowing down. You're going to say, "Oh, hold on, before I react, let's think about this thing," right? Before I say anything, let's think about this thing. Let's think about my actions and my words and how they can have a negative impact after this situation, or in the middle of it, how they can escalate the situation instead of de-escalate the situation, right? Because that's what can happen if we are not wise, if we react too quickly. So be very careful then how you live, not as unwise, but as wise. So making the most of every opportunity, because the days are evil. So it's like an opportunity to glorify God, an opportunity to be an example of Christ, to enhance His kingdom, to not step on a honeybee on the clover as you're walking in sandals that have holes in the bottom of them. Be wise. Watch your steps, right? Because this honeybee is going to sting my foot. But I love the honeybee, so I don't want to hit it. But it's like on the Oregon Trail, okay? Oregon Trail, obviously, for me, I'm 41 years old. It's for people in my age group, was a classic video game. One of the first video games on a computer, by the way. It's on a computer, an old MS-DOS system that had this whole cult following, and people my age still remember it fondly. But you come to a river, you had options. You could ford the river, float the river, buy a ferry, but you may have to wait for a few days, wait for the water level to go down to cross it. And each presented their own challenge. And there's a risk involved with fording the river and floating the river, obviously, because you're going to ford the river or float the river, then you're like having to unhook your oxen and then go across the river, and you don't know how deep it's going to be. You try to float it on your wagon and you might lose your oxen. Obviously it's fake, but it's real. Also, it's real for people who are actually on the Oregon Trail in real life. But so you came to this crossroads or this river to cross, and you didn't know what was in the middle of it. You were hoping there was life on the other side, but you didn't know what was in the middle of that river, how deep it was, the challenges that you might face. Are you going to make it or not? So you needed to make a decision that could possibly, it was risky. There had to be an informed decision. Had to be something that, the risk-reward factor. There's an opportunity to fail or to succeed. We have those opportunities when we come to these crossroads, when we come to these situations in life, to these problems. You have an opportunity to glorify Jesus. You have an opportunity to be a great example for Christ, or you have an opportunity to look like a dang fool. Right? And it says make the most of these opportunities, but understand that the days are evil. What's what I mean by that? So you have this opportunity here, but you gotta realize the days are evil. Meaning that, hey, these people that you're interacting with, the situations that may be arising, it's all part of the evil scheme as well. Because Ephesians chapter 6 very clearly says that the devil has schemes. Well, if the devil has schemes, you think those are good schemes? You think they're bad schemes? Probably a scheme that's evil, right? It's probably a scheme set up to make you fail, set up to enhance the devil's kingdom and not God's kingdom. So you have to navigate those without falling, right? And you're dealing with people who, by the way, are possibly influenced by the enemy as well, who are possibly influenced by the evil spiritual forces that have threaded their way, woven their way throughout our society. And maybe not intentional. The person itself may be unintentionally part of the evil scheme. Okay, I'm not blaming the person here. I'm saying this scheme, this scenario that has risen, is very well could have negative impacts. Could very well cost you your job if you act poorly, because maybe that person then goes and take lies. Maybe they go embellish the truth, lie. Maybe they make more out of it than what's actually there. Maybe they spread rumors and cause you problems. All kinds of bad things can happen with the wrong reaction in this opportunity. But you have an opportunity. It's nothing to be fearful of. It's something to use wisdom on. Because an opportunity to fail is also an opportunity to succeed. It's also an opportunity to enhance God's kingdom. So that's why he's saying, careful, be very careful how you live. Not as unwise, but as wise. Understanding that the days are evil. Knowing that these days are evil. So he says, making the most of every opportunity. Making the most of it. So be wise, not unwise. Make the most of every opportunity because the days are evil. So therefore, don't be foolish, but understand what the Lord's will is. In other words, hey, use your head, use your heart. God is there. If you're a born again believer of Jesus, the Lord is here in your heart, right? He's right there. He is there to guide you. He's connecting that to your brain. Use wisdom. He's there to guide you. Proverbs 3:5-6, very, very popular. Very popular passage of scripture. Trust in the Lord with all your heart. Lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him. He'll make your path straight. Right? Okay. Trust him. Lean not on your own understanding. Acknowledge him. He's going to guide you. He will guide you to not step on that honeybee. There's a lot of honeybees. But he will guide you to take the right steps, make the right decisions, take the right path. Should I ford this river, float it, or wait on the ferry? So in other words, hey, slow down. It may cost you a little bit right now, because if you bought the ferry, you had to wait. You had to pay money and possibly wait. Waiting on the Lord is not always a bad thing. It's the right thing. And you don't know how long it's going to take. 2 days, 3 days, whatever, month, who knows? But if you wait, it may cost you a little time. It may cost you a little money to wait on that ferry, right? Or wait on the water level to go down. It may wait. You may not get there as fast as you want to, but you're going to get there in one piece. You're going to get there without any troubles. You're going to get there without having to wade through them deep waters up to your neck possibly, and maybe losing your oxen. So, because hey, there are consequences to going ahead without the Lord's approval, right? Well, I see what I want to get to. It's over there. That's what I want to get to. So I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna get there over there, right? If you're not waiting on the Lord, you're trying to do it in your own time, you may incur some damages, and it might take you longer to get there by not waiting on the Lord than if you were to wait on God and do it in His timing. Because take these paths you shouldn't be taking, incur damages you shouldn't be incurring, cause you problems that you didn't have to have. But you gotta use wisdom in these scenarios. So be very careful how you live, right? Not as unwise, but as wise. And don't be foolish, but understand what God's will is. Because if you don't understand what God's will is, and you go ahead without his approval, without using the wisdom and the guidance that He gives you, you may wind up looking like a dang fool, which is something that nobody in God's house should be looking like, because we've already accepted Jesus. We're a part of his kingdom. We're not foolish. But if you go ahead outside of his will, you're going to look like a dang fool, which is not what we are. Okay? So, careful. Have a great week. But be wise, not unwise, and understand what God's will is. So, hey, if you got any prayer requests, praise reports, or comments, please leave them below. We'd love to hear from you. Pray for you. Thank you so much for watching. We do appreciate all of y'all. It's Art of Creation Homestead. God bless you and goodbye.